Death to billionaires. In that brief intro, we're told Tami's pitfall is she wants to live like a billionaire but hasn't figured out how to earn like a billionaire. This show is obsessed with billionaires and becoming them.
He's here.
Beautiful ladies. First of all, let me just say welcome. Welcome. Thank you for accepting my humble invite. You know, I'm not a billionaire yet. Little I have. I like to men. My name is Bola. My friends call me Bobby, but you ladies can call me anything you like. Yes.
In season 1, Tsola tells Zuri they'll make a millionaire of her yet. Bobby introduces himself to the girls by saying he's not a billionaire yet. And now we're told Tami's problem is she wants to live like billionaires but hasn't figured out how to earn like billionaires yet. First of all, the idea that billionaires earn money, they don't. What amount of work can one do to justify earning $1 billion? As has been said, no one ever makes $1 billion. You take $1 billion. Now I have to talk about billionaires. Ugh.
The scale of $1 billion is really crazy. So let's say 1 grain of rice is equivalent to 100K, and 10 grains of rice would be then a million. Well, how much is a billion? So my Saturday night consisted of counting 10,000 grains of rice one by one, just to show you guys how much $1 billion is. Of course I filmed it, and of course I time-lapsed it, and this is playing at, I don't even know, God knows how fast it's playing at, but... So now I'm proud to present to you the results. That is $1 billion, where each grain of rice is worth 100K. Look how much rice this is, guys. That's crazy. I just bought you like a Lamborghini right here, and I didn't even notice it was gone. Here's a $5 million house in California, and oh look, I still have all this money. In my last video, I counted 10,000 grains of rice, where each grain of rice was $100,000. And that was to show you the scale of $1 billion. Well, a lot of you guys asked me, well, how much does Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos have in terms of rice? So that was my mission. I went to Target, I bought a digital food scale, I came home, and then I weighed the rice that was worth 1 billion from earlier. I did the math in my head, and I went to Costco. I got the rice, I brought it home, and once I brought it home, I went to work. I also want to say that I have 5 families that are going to take this unused rice, so it's totally not wasteful. Okay, so the moment you've been waiting for, 100K, 1 million, 1 billion, Jeff Bezos has 122 of these, or 58 pounds of rice, if each grain of rice was 100K. Like, look how big this is, guys. I'm gonna show you the scale here. I'm gonna put a keyboard in just for fun. Look how deep that goes. That's insane. This is Jeff Bezos' new house that's $145 million in LA. And then, oh my God. Last year, I showed you that if 1 grain of rice was $100,000, I showed you exactly how much Jeff Bezos had in rice. But move over, Jeff. There's a new king in town. Elon Musk is now the richest person. Forbes has his net worth at $195 billion, so I had to go to Costco, get more rice, and get to work. This is the craziest visualization I've ever done. So let's not forget this concept. This is $100,000, and in 2020, Elon had about $30 billion in net worth. As of last Friday, his net worth is now $195 billion, and that's how much rice this is. This is 93 pounds of rice if each grain of rice was $100,000. Look how big it is compared to my laptop. In a single year, he added more net worth than the entire net worth that Bill Gates is worth, which is $122 billion.
According to Forbes, here are the most common ways people become billionaires. 1 in 6 billionaires made their money in finance and investment, including bankers and fintech types. So, the people who bring us market crashes every few years. These people add no value to the economy. They just speculate and manipulate markets. Second, we have technology, your Bezos and Zuckerbergs and such. Exploiters of workers' labor extraordinaire. They pay poverty wages, forcefully buy out companies, trade in your data, basically earning money from shit they don't own and did not single-handedly make. The next group of billionaires comes from manufacturing. You don't need me to tell you that this is all about exploiting workers' labor. They don't work in those factories, but they take the lion's share of the wealth created. Fashion and retail coming fourth. The people who daily bring us the horrors of sweatshops while also destroying the world through fast fashion. So that's the top four areas that produce billionaires, and all of them are characterized by exploiting workers and consumers, and in the case of the financial sector, adding little to no value to people's lives. In Nigeria, most, if not all, the billionaires are linked to oil and mining. Among the top billionaires are Dangote, cement and oil, Danjubu, oil, Adenuga, telecommunications and oil, Rabiu, cement, Otedola, oil and power generation, and Folorunsho Alakija, oil. Do you think the people actually involved in working in those cement and oil plants, the ones who do the actual backbreaking work, have that kind of money? No. Most of the time, what they have is money trouble and health problems related to that dirty work. The burning of fossil fuels is accelerating our rush to climate catastrophes globally. People who make their money from crude oil will not stop, even when it means certain death. And we know it means certain death. Still on climate change and the almost inevitable coming catastrophes, here's what billionaires are doing regarding climate change, according to Oxfam. In 2019, the super rich, the 1%, were responsible for more carbon emissions than 66% of humanity. That's 5 billion people. 1%. The 1% were responsible for more carbon emissions than 66% of humanity. 5 billion people. The emissions of the richest 1% will cause 1.3 million heat-related deaths between 2020 and 2030. They are also the most reluctant to make whatever changes are needed to keep their emissions low, such as retiring those private jets they insist on using. Drake reportedly took a flight that lasted less than 20 minutes. Kylie Jenner took one that was 17 minutes long and another that was an almost impressive 12 minutes long. In 2022, in the space of a few months, January 1st to July 19th, Taylor Swift flew her jet 170 times. Taylor alone, through her private jet, emitted 1,184 times more carbon than the average person emits in a year. Her team insists that it wasn't all her because she regularly loans it out. Either way, that is the impact of billionaires and the ultra wealthy. Only about 0.0008% of the world's population owns a private jet. Still, these private flights in 1 year accounted for the same emissions as all bus travel in the entire United States. So, a handful of people in private jets, the same emissions as an entire country's bus travel in a year. A person in a private jet emits 10 to 20 times as much carbon pollution as an entire commercial airline. This, while scientists are pleading with us to reduce emissions from the burning of fossil fuels or face near extinction. A 2019 Oxfam study found that in the last 10 years, 20 million people a year have been displaced from their homes, with climate change being the number one driver of this displacement. That's 20 million people displaced every year. As with all things climate change, low-income nations will bear the brunt of it, and poor people are more likely to be displaced. We're talking about countries like Nigeria, where these writers are busy glamorizing the lives of the 1% and stoking the fires of such desires in viewers. Over 2 million people have died because of extreme weather events in the last 50 years. Of those, 9 in 10 deaths were from developing countries. No need to remind you, Nigeria is a developing country. It is estimated that by 2050, the climate crisis will have caused 14.5 million deaths. No need to remind you that poorer nations will be disproportionately affected. Then there's the coming wars over food and water because of extremes like droughts and floods. As climate crises increase, so does hunger as food becomes scarce and prohibitively expensive, and so does the risk of conflict. The rich and their carbon emitting lifestyles are an existential threat. We're in the Eat the Rich chapter of the life book, not the desiring to be billionaires chapter. These people then use this money they've taken from workers to influence government policies, not only in their governments but elsewhere. Look at Bill Gates, for example, influencing policy everywhere, from healthcare to education to agriculture, all areas he has no expertise in. How? Because he has money. Billionaires are a scourge. They exercise undue control over our societies, invalidating the views of the rest of the people. We do not need more billionaires. We need less. We need power to go back to the hands of ordinary people. That's what we need. We need money to go to workers. We need the rich to stop influencing policy and to actually pay taxes so that public services like hospitals and schools are funded. That's what we need. Not more billionaires. There's also no way to be a good billionaire because if you were, you'd give it all away and not in bullshit philanthropy things for tax breaks and optics. Actual giving, the kind that leaves you with nothing but what you actually need. If I can find it, I'll link the story of the man whose family gave away all their money and became normal people. One study led by UC Berkeley researchers found that lower income people are more generous than wealthy people, and they donate a larger percentage of their income to charity than upper income people. Another experiment building on the above findings suggests that there's something about the specific psychological experience of having less that induces people to give more. There are no good billionaires, and billionaires are a literal existential threat. They do more harm than good. The world will be better when there are actually zero billionaires. Don't be deceived into looking up to them by narratives like these that paint them as hardworking philanthropic types. They're not. As you've seen, your average person is more generous than a billionaire. You're better off being a normal person. You will be a better human being. Yeah, that was a little longer than I expected. Onwards.